What is up, world? It's your boy, Michel Valbrun, aka Money Making Mitch. And today I have the three-time best-selling author, book publisher, and coach, international speaker as well, Miss Rainge-Jones. How are you doing?
I am blessed and highly favored. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited about our interview.
Thank you so much for joining. So obviously you've been doing a lot of things. You've been in this industry and you've been doing your thing for a while now. And I've just been very impressed about everything you've accomplished, all the international speaking gigs you've done, your book publishing that you're doing, and just you're doing amazing things. And you also have children as well. So I just wanted to, before we get into that and talk about all those details, could you just share quickly about yourself and a little bit about your brand?
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for having me. My name is Rainge-Jones. I'm a three times, like you said, published best-selling author. What I do, I'm also a mom of three. I have three beautiful daughters and a wife. But what I do is I help women all around the world tap into their innate talent, develop their brand voice, and then create products, specifically books, to reach their ideal market and to help serve their ideal market. We focus on making an impact, and in turn, that allows us to drive income. And so this year, my focus is on helping women operate in purpose, but still make a profit. And so that's pretty much what I do by way of my annual Dare to Dream conference, my publishing company, speaking engagements, trainings. These are all just vehicles to spread my mission and to use my voice to help the people who I know that I have, the gift and the talent to serve.
Got you. That's amazing. So with helping all these women, I'm noticing too, and it's not just women, but also like millennials as well. Like a lot of people are
Mhm.
making the jumping, going into entrepreneurship and just like really going for it and really taking the leap. What do you think is kind of contributing to that wave? Why do you think people are so, passionate about getting into entrepreneurship now?
Absolutely. There are a few things that contribute to that. Number one, it's become the thing, it's become a trend. And I think so often people glamorize entrepreneurship because it's so common for people to share their highlight reel without really being transparent about what goes on behind the scenes to make the dream, right? No one's really talking about the sleepless nights or, the repossessions or the bank account that's sometimes negative. We tend to kind of glorify just the highlight reel because entrepreneurship, it's both highs and lows. You have your moments where you feel like you're on top of the world, and you have your moments where you're not sure how things are going to work out. And so for those who are thinking about taking the leap, I would say number one, make sure that it's something that you love to do, because far beyond when the trend ends, is this something that you can commit to? Is it something that fuels you? Is it something that is purposeful? I think the thing that makes people stay is when it's twofold. It's purposeful and it's profitable. I think so many people experience burnout when they're pursuing purpose, but then the light bill got to get paid and the bills got to get paid. And when it's not fruitful or profitable, so many people run away from it. So I think that's one of the things that contributes to it is the trend. We see
Right.
entrepreneurs winning, we don't see them sacrificing. And so a lot of times people, they chase after it because they're thinking that their success is going to be, a reflection of what they see on other people, but you have no idea the long road that it's taking that person to get there. I always say overnight success takes about 10 to 20 years. We just don't see, the long journey. We see the highlight reel. Another thing that I think contributes to that, I recently I wrote an article for Forbes magazine. It talked about millennials in this new wave of entrepreneurship. And it talked
Mm.
about how more and more young people were ditching the American dream, so to speak. We're not buying into that whole American dream that our parents bought into, where you want the picket fence and the job. You're going to work at the job for 30 and 40 years, and you're going to retire. I know for me, my 9 to 5 was in law enforcement. I worked in corrections. I was a corrections officer, and the compensation plan was great. The benefits were great. And there are a lot of people, my counterparts, who were focused on in 30 years, they would walk away from this big company, from the job, with sometimes $1 million for retirement or in their 401k or with different investments that they made. And I just saw that this mindset was, when I get there, life is going to be great. I'm going to have this money. I'm going to make a 30 to 40-year sacrifice to finally, acquire wealth to live my life. And what I found was that while that was promising in some sense, because the current climate of Social Security, but for the most part, people were using that as a safety net. Like, this is what I have to look forward to. The thing that was disheartening for me is I remember sitting at my desk and we would get emails from people who had retired. So we'll do a retirement party, send them well wishes, from one office to another. And then maybe 6 months later, we'll get an email saying that person had passed away or that person had a heart attack. And I'm like, wow, imagine spending 30, 40 years in a stressful job. Because corrections is very stressful. Any type of law enforcement is, stressful, just to get at the mark where you waited 30, 40 years to get there. And you have the money and you have the financial security you've always dreamed of, but now your health is not in a place where you can actually enjoy it, because long periods of stress does deteriorate. Like waking up every day doing something that you don't love, that you dread, it takes away from you spiritually, mentally, physically. And so I noticed that more and more millennials like myself, we were kind of ditching the American dream. And we were, we didn't want to slice of the American pie. We wanted to bake our own cake, so to speak. We wanted to create a life in our image. And, that's what creators do. We design things that work for us. We design things that we can use our gifts and our talents and our innate skill sets to fuel. And so that's pretty much what I've done with my businesses. I've created a world around and products based on my gifts and my strengths and my talents. Like I said, by way of my conferences and my publishing companies, like I'm a writer. I'm really good at writing and helping people develop their voice. So I've been able to build a business around that gift. And so the more people can see a representation of what success looks like in a free enterprise, the more people are going to jump on the wave. My only caution is that you make sure that you find something that you love. You have to love it.
Got you. No, that's such a powerful answer. And I mean, yeah, it's so true with, in really a lot of industries, you have the retirement of age of 65 and you spend like pretty much your best years of your life saving up for that time to retire. And then, by that time you're a little bit older, you may not live as long. I mean, you can, God willing, but yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned, some of those struggles that entrepreneurs go through, like the, not knowing when they're going to get paid next and just kind of figuring things out. How do you, for someone who's working a corporate job and, thinking about making that transition into entrepreneurship, what would you suggest that they do? I know you talked about passion and profit, but what are some like tangible, practical steps that someone can do to kind of transition, make that leap?
Absolutely. Number one, I would say before you decide to take a leap, take a moment to assess who you are. Take a moment to assess, what your strengths are. Start looking into the industry. Find out who's dominating that industry. Is it possible for you to learn from them? I know that coaches and mentors have been very influential for me. In the beginning, I was pretty much self-taught. Everything that I knew, I had learned it on my own. And I had gotten to a place where I realized I had taken myself as far as I could take me. And I kind of got tired of being the smartest, most influential person in the room. And so I started to surround myself with people who were far ahead of me, people who had experienced success in a different way than I did, because what that did in turn is it expanded my capacity to grow. And so that was one thing. So make sure before you take that leap, you take an assessment to figure out what are your targets, what are your goals, and who are the people that you need to align yourself with or connect with to help you reach those goals, because you can't do it alone. Number two, you need to have an exit strategy. I know that entrepreneurship has become this whole, glamorous phenomenon, but it's about building wealth. And free enterprises, you do that based on what's in your hands. And so I would just caution people, while you're at your job, number one, start to express gratitude for where you are. Because your job is if we're, speaking truthfully, your job is your investor. That's that check that you can get every week or every 2 weeks. You know exactly how much money you're going to get. And so I would say, make sure that every time you get paid, you pull something out and put it in a savings account. This is your dream fund. This is the thing to fund your vision. So now you have an actual vehicle to fund your dream. You're taking money from your paycheck that you know is going to come, and then you're applying that to your vision. So before you even get to the point where you're taking money out, at least have a vision, know what you want. That way you can actually start to set targets and okay, this is how much I'm going to need to register my company. This is how much I'm going to need to hire a coach. This is how much I'm going to need for graphic work, for marketing. This is how much I'm going to need, for whatever. Know what you're doing so what are the actual financial marks you need to make. And so now you know exactly how much money you need to save. And that's what we call planning for profit. Understanding what your resources are and figuring out how to make those work for you.
Got you.
And then figuring out how to make those work for you. So that's key.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love that. And I know, I think I've heard Lisa Nicole say the same quote, is that your job is your biggest investor. And it's so true. And I think a lot of people are so anxious, like, I just want to get out there. I just want to go and quit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always recommend my clients and people to just, continue building that savings, maybe build at least 3, 6 months to a year, as long as you feel like you need to give yourself some runway in order
Hmm.
to really be able to go out and pursue your entrepreneur dream
Right. And
times.
then you don't have to just save. Like you can save and take action. Like small steps in the right
Absolutely. Yep.
direction is still progress. When I was
Hmm.
working in corrections, I literally wrote out the entire Dare to Dream conference vision when my
Wow.
inmates went to sleep. I was sitting there planning out. I was thinking about the speakers who I wanted to speak. I was writing out my vision. I was making plans as if I already had the money in the bank. And so when I
Mm.
got to a place where I hit that financial mark, it was already, I already had my blueprint of where I was going to distribute my money. And so for me, it was I was already sending emails out to speakers as if I already had the budget.
Right.
I was already reaching out to venues as if I already had the budget because I knew what I was working towards. So you don't have to just plan and just save, like save and take action. This is where, faith and action takes place. You know that it's going to come, you believe that it's going to come. And so now you just put yourself in a position for that to manifest.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, 100%. I agree. That's so true. So with that, so I want to talk a little bit more about probably your most important job. So you're a wife and a mother of three. Could you share about how do you manage all that, and how do you wear all those hats and juggle, your this business that you're creating and this community that you're creating, and managing the role as a wife and a mother?
See, that's another thing. That is it's become my greatest challenge. And at first, I was so focused on balance. Like, how am I going to balance all these things? And I was failing miserably at trying to balance it all. And so I kind of got more focused. I heard a young lady say this at a conference I attended, and she talked about being able to focus on number one, priorities, and then fulfillment. And
Mm.
so instead of trying to do this thing, this illusion of balancing, you focus on what are your priorities and then what are the things that fulfill you. So for me, my priorities are number one, my faith, my family, and then my finances. And so I make sure that all of my goals and everything that I'm doing directly impacts my bottom line, which is faith, family, and finances. And then I think about what fulfills me. Being able to travel the world, get dressed, get cute, connect with other dope women around the world, that is very fulfilling to me. And so I do more of the things that I love to do. I do the things that make sense that I need to do the things that I want to do. And I make sure that everything that I do, you know, it directly impacts either my priorities or the things that fulfill me. Everything else becomes a distraction.
Hmm. That's good. No, that's awesome. And yeah, congrats on all the success. I know you have a conference coming up sometime this year. Could you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So our annual Dare to Dream conference takes place in Orlando every year, and it's a gathering place for dreamers, visionaries, go-getters, community change agents, visionaries, just people who understand the power of having a vision and then putting action behind it. So it's both emerging and established entrepreneurs, city officials, media hosts, media personalities, just people in the community who get it. People in the community who are not afraid to dream big, and we gather every year to share, winning strategies, success strategies, industry success. Like we just come together and share and learn. It's really a place where we cultivate relationships, we build collaborations, and we learn from one another. With all with the common goal to expand and to grow and to empower men and women globally. And we meet in Orlando every year. Our speakers are always industry leaders. I'm super excited about our lineup for this year. So it's just a great thing. We've been able to cultivate a lot of different sponsorships and just people who believe in the vision, who get behind it.
Mm.
And it's just been growing, taking on a mind of its own. Our first year, my goal was 50 people. The day of, we had about 78. I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
Wow.
We had a standing room only. This is our very first inaugural event in 2017. Our second annual was just recently. 2018, our goal was 75. We got about 158 women in the room. So
Wow.
this year, our goal 158 men and women. And mind you, I hadn't been marketing to men, but there were a lot of men in the area who understood the vision, and they just showed up. And so it kind of forced me to level up in the way, well, let's bring men to be a part of this conversation. Let's bring some men on stage on this platform to empower our men because they need it too. And so again, they'll be seeing you there, money making Mitch, teaching some money, some money principles. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Orlando, this year is November 2nd, 2019.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all the wisdom and the nuggets you shared. It's super inspiring, everything that you've accomplished. And yeah, congratulations on everything. So what's the best way for people to get in contact with you and just learn more about your movement, what you're doing?
Absolutely, guys. You guys can follow your girl on Instagram at Sierra Rainge. That's SIERRAINGE. Facebook at Sierra Rainge. Twitter at Sierra Rainge. My website is sierrarange.com. We have our annual conference coming up. I'm going to be speaking in Cape Town, speaking in Nassau, and again in the UK. This year, I've really been focused on making a global impact. And you guys can keep up with me pretty much on Instagram and Facebook. So I look forward to connecting further. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about 2019.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks again, and I will talk to you later. Take care.
Awesome. You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks.